In the heart of Caracas, a shocking turn of events has shaken Venezuela to its core. Nicolás Maduro, the man who has ruled this country for nearly a decade, was seized by U.S. forces in a daring raid. Taken from the very palace that once symbolized his power, Maduro now faces charges of narco-terrorism in New York. But in the wake of this dramatic move, a deeper question emerges. What happens when the figurehead falls and the system that supported him begins to unravel? Days after the operation, Venezuela's interim president, Delcy Rodríguez, has made a significant move. She's fired General Javier Marcano Tabata, the head of the Presidential Honor Guard. Was this a desperate attempt to tighten control, or is something larger at play? Stay with me as we delve into the forces shaping this historic moment. Venezuela is at a crossroads. Maduro's dramatic capture by U.S. forces marks a new chapter. For years, the country has been teetering on the edge of collapse. The Maduro regime has clung to power despite mounting pressure. But now, things are changing. The sacking of General Marcano Tabata is not just a leadership change. It's a turning point. Delcy Rodríguez is sending a clear message. She's preparing to reshape Venezuela's future. Rodríguez, once Maduro's loyal vice president, now holds the reins. As interim president, she faces tough decisions. Will she appease the U.S. and give up Venezuela's oil reserves? Or will she fight for Venezuela's sovereignty? The stakes have never been higher. Survival is at risk. But so is the country's soul. To understand how we got here, we must look at Venezuela's history. Let's explore the roots of this crisis and its implications for the future. To understand what's happening now, we need to look at Venezuela's past. The country's history is one of great promise, yet deep struggle. For decades, Venezuela was one of the wealthiest countries in Latin America. It was rich in oil, with vast reserves fueling its economy, but that wealth didn't last. In the 1,990 seconds, the economy began to decline. Corruption and mismanagement took hold. Venezuela's leaders failed to build a sustainable future. In 1999, Hugo Chávez came to power. Chávez promised change, vowing to bring power back to the people. He nationalized the oil industry, and his government was popular at first. But over time, his policies became more authoritarian. In 2013, Chávez died, leaving Nicolás Maduro to take his place. Maduro inherited a country on the brink of collapse. His leadership was marked by economic disaster, hyperinflation, and widespread poverty. This crisis set the stage for today's political turmoil. And now, it's Delcy Rodríguez's turn to take the helm. But history doesn't just shape the present, it also sets the stage for crises. Let's dive into the first major shock to Venezuela's system, the events that led to the crisis in the Presidential Guard. The first major shock came when U.S. forces executed a daring operation in Caracas. The target was Nicolás Maduro himself. In a bold move, U.S. troops seized the Venezuelan leader. Maduro was taken from his palace and transported to New York. There, he now faces charges of narco-terrorism. This was not just a capture. It was a blow to Venezuela's entire system. The operation resulted in the deaths of many. Among the casualties were members of the Presidential Honor Guard. This elite force, tasked with protecting the head of state, failed to prevent the U.S. assault. The fall of Maduro was a humiliating blow to the regime. It exposed the weakness of Venezuela's defenses. The Presidential Guard, a symbol of power, was compromised. And now, Delcy Rodríguez is tasked with picking up the pieces. Her first act? The sacking of General Marcano Tabata. But was it enough? Or was it just a signal of deeper issues inside Venezuela's power structures? To understand why this crisis unfolded the way it did, we need to look at the hidden mechanisms behind Venezuela's military and intelligence forces. What many don't see is the intricate web that holds Venezuela's government together. At the heart of this web are the military and intelligence services. For years, these forces have played a key role in maintaining power. but they've also been responsible for the darkest parts of Venezuela's history. The Presidential Honor Guard was just one part of this system. Another key player was General Marcano Tabata. He also led the DGCIM, Venezuela's military counterintelligence unit. This unit was notorious for its repression. The DGCIM targeted anyone deemed a threat to Maduro's regime. It was responsible for countless human rights abuses. Torture, sexual violence, and forced disappearances were common practices. The United Nations documented these violations, and yet Tabata remained a central figure in the regime's security apparatus. So why replace him now? Rodriguez's decision to remove Tabata sends a message. But the question remains, will replacing one figurehead fix the deep-rooted issues within the system? This is just the beginning. The second crisis is about to hit, and it may be even more intense than the first. The second crisis was even more explosive. US President Donald Trump made it clear that Venezuela was not off the table. Following Maduro's capture, Trump warned Delcy Rodríguez. He said the US would strike again if she didn't comply with its demands. These demands centered on Venezuela's oil, a resource the US desperately needs. Trump's statement sent shockwaves through Venezuela's leadership. Rodríguez was caught in a high-stakes game. Her country's survival was now in question. And yet, she chose to stand firm. She condemned Maduro's capture as an illegal kidnapping, but also invited the US to cooperate. This unpredictable stance left many unsure of her next move. The international community is watching. Will Rodríguez give in to Trump's threats? Or will she resist, pushing Venezuela to the brink of war? Her actions have the potential to reshape not just Venezuela, but the entire region. The pressure is mounting and time is running out. But it's not just about the political elite. The real question is, how will all of this affect the people of Venezuela? The situation in Venezuela isn't just about political leaders. It's about the millions of people caught in the middle. For years, the Venezuelan people have struggled with hyperinflation, food shortages, and poverty. But now, the political turmoil is making everything worse. The US operation to capture Maduro left the country in shock. It's not just the loss of a leader. It's the loss of stability. Many Venezuelans feel betrayed by their government. They watched as Maduro's once vaunted presidential guard was defeated so easily. And now, they see Rodríguez scrambling to pick up the pieces. But the people aren't just passive observers. They are part of this struggle. Venezuelans have faced unimaginable hardship, yet they continue to fight for a better future. They resist, they protest, and they hope for change. As the interim government tries to solidify its grip, the people's will remains uncertain. They have been through so much, and they will play a key role in deciding Venezuela's fate. But the consequences of this crisis extend far beyond Venezuela's borders. What does this mean for the global stage? Venezuela's crisis isn't just a domestic issue. It has far-reaching implications for the global stage. The US, with its powerful economic and military presence, has made it clear that Venezuela is a priority. The oil reserves, among the world's largest, make Venezuela a strategic asset. But the situation is more complex than just oil. Venezuela's allies, like Cuba, have already felt the effects of this crisis. Cuba, which has long supported Maduro, lost 32 of its nationals in the US raid. These individuals were embedded in the Presidential Honor Guard, a key part of Venezuela's security. Beyond Latin America, global powers are watching closely. Russia, China, and even the European Union have stakes in Venezuela's future. A shift in power could impact global alliances and trade. The geopolitical landscape of the Americas could be reshaped in the coming months. The question now is, how far will the US go to maintain control? And how will the rest of the world respond? The future of Venezuela is uncertain, but we can predict 3 possible outcomes. Let's explore what the coming years might look like. Venezuela's future is hanging in the balance. As tensions rise and the country faces multiple crises, three possible scenarios unfold. The first scenario is optimistic. Rodríguez manages to stabilize the country. She successfully navigates the pressure from the US, securing some level of cooperation. Venezuela's economy slowly recovers as international sanctions ease. This scenario would lead to a more democratic, prosperous Venezuela, though it would take years to rebuild. The second scenario is moderate. Rodríguez faces resistance both from within and outside Venezuela. The interim government struggles to establish its authority. Political infighting weakens the country's position. The US remains hostile, but no further military strikes occur. Venezuela limps through this period with minimal recovery but ongoing instability. The third scenario is the worst. Venezuela becomes embroiled in civil conflict. Rodríguez's government fails to win the support it needs. The US escalates its involvement, and the country faces external military intervention. A full-scale crisis ensues, with widespread violence and further suffering for the Venezuelan people. Each of these scenarios carries massive implications for Venezuela and the world. The next few months could determine the course the country takes. As we look to the future, one thing is clear: this crisis will not be resolved quickly. Let's explore the deeper insights and the potential long-term consequences. Venezuela stands at a crossroads, with its future uncertain and its people caught in the middle. The events of the past few weeks have exposed deep vulnerabilities within the country's political and military systems. As Delcy Rodríguez takes the helm, the world watches closely. Every decision she makes will shape Venezuela's future and the region's. This is a pivotal moment, but it's also an opportunity. The Venezuelan people have shown incredible resilience through hardship. Their fight for a better future is not over. The question is, will the interim government rise to the occasion, or will it succumb to the pressures of external forces? For those of us watching from the outside, we must remain vigilant. The story of Venezuela is a cautionary tale, one that speaks to the fragility of power, the human cost of political games, and the need for unity in times of crisis. This crisis has global consequences. The choices made today will echo for years to come. Stay informed, stay engaged, and never underestimate the power of the people to change their destiny.